The moon has always attracted the attention of the people of Earth. She was associated with many mystical events, including claims that she was subject to beings of the otherworldly world. However, since the time of the Apollo 11 space mission, when man first set foot on the moon's surface, the moon has grown even more myths, only more modern, starting with the statement that no one actually flew to the moon, though I think so too, and suspicions that the lunar program was shut down at the request of the natives of the moon itself. I made a lot of clips about not actually going to the moon, but they were unsubstantiated hypotheses. Today we're going to look at this hypothesis a little bit differently. This is a sensation. The Chinese mission Chang'e-4 found something interesting on the back of the moon. On January 3, 2020, just during the quarantine, when people were asking no unnecessary questions and focusing only on not getting infected, the Chinese interplanetary station Chang'e-4 landed on the back of the moon for the first time in history. The news was supposed to be sensational, spread through all the media, and everyone on Earth had to know about it. But it wasn't a sensation, and few people knew about it. It's very strange. The official version is that the purpose of the mission was to explore the lunar soil, space, and biological experiments. A sealed container of cotton, rapeseed, potato, yeast, mushrooms, and even fruit fly larvae was delivered to Earth's satellite. In addition, the mission provided an opportunity to test remote space communication systems. Again, this is the official version. However, it is believed that the Chinese are conducting reconnaissance on the dark side of the moon as they plan to build a military base there in the near future. Ufologists and conspiracy theorists put forward an even more intriguing theory. The true objective of Chang'e-4 is to search for alien bases and traces of their bombing by the Americans. Ever since the Apollo 11 moon landing, there have been rumors around the world that the Americans on the moon have encountered members of an alien civilization, and the hosts did not welcome the guests too warmly. Associated with this is the withdrawal of all lunar missions on Earth at a time when it would seem, after such success, an unthinkable excitement was to be expected. However, the collected and tested moon rovers remained in the hangars, and the launch vehicles were dismantled. NASA attributed the cancellation of the lunar program to high costs, but huge amounts of money had already been invested in program development, laboratories, test sites, launch sites, astronaut training, and technology. What was the point of investing heavily in the project and abandoning it at the moment when the harvest was due? On the other hand, there is an opinion that all the planned flights still took place and continue, but secretly. This was reported by the American military pilot William Rutledge, who was an astronaut aboard the Apollo 20. According to his story, an alien starship was found on the moon, estimated to be 1.5 million years old. The ship had the shape of a cigar 5 kilometers long. However, this was not the only find. In the vicinity of the spacecraft, extensive structures of unknown purpose and origin were found, conventionally called the Astronaut City. But that's not all. Mummified bodies belonging to creatures of unknown and apparently intelligent species were found inside the alien vessel. Samples of alien tissue, technology, and ship design were brought to Earth for examination. However, it turned out that the government was not particularly willing to make this public. Ufologist Anton Anfalov states that the base on the back of the moon was discovered by the Americans in 1965. It is believed that this was the cause of the lunar race between the USSR and the United States. Ken Johnston, the former director of NASA's Data Control Department, spoke about a number of photographs taken by Apollo spacecraft and astronauts depicting obscure artifacts and constructs. In his opinion, these structures could belong to a civilization far superior to ours in technological development. Johnston was ordered to remove the mysterious objects from the photographs before they were published. However, he made copies of them, which he had kept for almost 50 years until he decided to share with the public. The original images were classified and some even destroyed. As we may guess, This is not the only secret hidden behind 7 seals in the intelligence archives. The former NASA director Christopher Kraft provided a team of researchers with audio recordings of the Apollo 11 astronaut sessions. On them, the captain of the ship, Neil Armstrong, in a panic, reports about alien cylindrical spacecraft watching the work of astronauts on the moon. After verifying the authenticity of the tape, it was determined that the voices on it were indeed those of the astronauts and NASA personnel present on the Apollo mission on Earth. Upon returning to Earth, all data was classified. James Irwin, a member of the Apollo 15 mission, discovered a track on the moon, he said, stretching along the slope of Peak Hadley. Astronaut Apollo 16, Charles Duke, reported rectangular blocks of up to 5 meters across, which were lined up the bottom of the crater. The Soviet apparatus, Moon Rover 2, came across a solid, smooth plate about a meter long. This was even reported in the press, but after studies of its chemical and magnetic properties, no publication was made on the subject. Apollo 17 also found strange footprints from 100 meters to 2.5 kilometers. It is unknown what or who left such traces on the surface of the moon. However, at the end of some of them, large boulders were found, and in some images, such as in the crater Copernicus, researchers find formations resembling the ruins of cities. Photographs of ancient ruins on Earth support these hypotheses, but no official statement has been made on these facts. Having studied the images obtained by the mission Chang'e-4, the Scottish ufologist and conspirator George Graham, known in the network under the pseudonym StreetCap1, discovered objects that, in his opinion, could not be natural formations of the moon. These radiant-colored structures are more like cities photographed from afar. During a detailed study of the images, George discovered towers, pyramids, and pipes among them. Sin says that he did not process the images received by the Chinese mission, but simply cut and enlarged the interested part. The researcher describes it as a great achievement that these images are freely available and not owned by NASA. Thus, the agency cannot make any adjustments, destroy, or secret them, so anyone can explore the moon. It is worth mentioning that the ufologist has already claimed to have detected holes from the NASA orbital station, which he considers to be entrances to alien databases. Sir Graham was seriously concerned about his own interest in the intelligence services. He repeatedly stated that he feared for his life, and George Graham died in June 2018. The cause of his death was cardiac arrest, but doctors claim that George had no medical problems. Scott Waring, Graham's UFO colleague, stated that after George's death, some recent videos disappeared from his YouTube channel, especially his interview in which he talked about a worldwide conspiracy to hide the presence of aliens. Needless to say, George Graham's ufologists and admirers don't believe in his natural death. However, this is not the only strange death connected with the riddles of the moon. Retired U.S. Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf was hit by a tractor while cycling. He was 74 years old. It may have been an accident, but there is one but. Not so long ago, Carl stated that by analyzing the Lunar Scout's data, he discovered structures on the moon's back that could not have been natural formations. Among them, objects very similar to Earth's radar antennas were observed. This death has also not gone unnoticed by conspiracy theorists, because Carl said earlier that NASA hides artificial structures on the surface of the moon, both on the side we see and on the other. Can these deaths be the work of the special services? Is the price of truth true life? The Indian epics Mahabharata and Ramayana tell about space wars on the moon. Some scholars estimate that these events are exactly 1.5 million years old. But aren't these figures from an American pilot's story just to fit these myths? On the other hand, some extant myths and legends say that there was a time when the moon was not in the sky at all. And how can we be sure of anything today? Because our knowledge of the moon is still scarce. If guests from other worlds land on Earth in the Sahara Desert and superficially explore it, will they not conclude that there is no life on our planet? Especially if the life we are is completely out of line with their idea of what life is. For the first time in history, the Chang'e-4 launched the first moon rover on the dark side of the moon. The Earth received images, video of the landings, the results of soil analysis, and an experiment was conducted to grow terrestrial organisms in lunar conditions. All, at least official, information is publicly available, but the results of the tests are still unknown.